Now, in this section of our class, we're going to talk about effective order fulfillment and inventory management. In other words, fulfilling your orders to customers and then making sure you have inventory to continue to sell and make money. So, what does it take? Well, we're going to focus on a couple areas here. Number one, fulfillment, getting the product to the customer. Like, how do you do that the most effective and efficient way, and especially in a way that your customers are happy with? And then number two, inventory management, making sure you always have just enough product to fulfill on all your orders. I say just enough because you don't want too much inventory because it's not making money in your closet or wherever you have it stored, or if it's at Amazon. Um, it doesn't matter. I mean, too much inventory is not good because that's all your money is being stored, but it's not making money. So you want just enough product to fulfill on all your orders. How do you manage that to have just enough? Well, let's talk about fulfillment first. Number one, you got to have a quick response. In other words, you want to, as soon as you get the order, you want to make sure that order is being processed within 1 to 2 days. Now, later on, we're going to talk about something called fulfillment by Amazon, where all your inventory is being stored at Amazon, so they do the fulfillment for you. And granted, this you don't even have to worry about if you're using their product process. Now, granted, it is a little bit more expensive to use their process, but it's worth it because you never have to worry about these things. But if you are going to do it for yourself, or you're going to do it for yourself the first couple sales, we have to make sure when we come to fulfillment, we're responding quickly, usually within 1 to 2 days. Then we talk about packaging the actual product itself. You're going to need the actual resources to actually do it. Number one, you need the packaging box, whether it's going to be a box that you purchase, that's generic, but it's a nice looking box, so people will still feel like they're getting a great product. Or it could be actually a specially designed box with your logo and everything else. You need that packaging box, ready to be filled. Number two, you need the filler. You need that. We talked about the vacuum formed plastic, the perforated cardboard, the crinkle cut, whatever that filler is. You need that ready to be able to put in there to package your product. Number three, your inserts, like what? Your free bonus. The sheet that tells them where they can get their free download for their bonus. Your product details, so they can know what their product's all about. Any instructions, any promotions that you're having, you can put in there as well. And also, too, that request saying, hey, if you had a great experience with our product, can you give us a great review, to remind them to give you a review. This is sort of the checklist of everything you need in packaging your actual product. And, of course, in that is your product. Make sure you don't forget that. And then you package it together and get it ready to ship. So, of course, the next part of that would be shipping the product. And that's you need your shipping boxes. Again, this is non-fulfillment by Amazon. This is if you're doing it yourself. You need the right size shipping boxes. You need all that information as to what length, width, and height it has, because you're probably going to be using either your own, whether UPS, FedEx, etc., or USPS, the United States Postal Service, which, by the way, if you didn't know, you can print directly from Amazon using Amazon Print and Ship service. You can buy the actual shipping from Amazon, which tends to be cheaper because they have bulk discounts as well. Print it out according to your order. And we're going to later on go through a video exactly how to do that. And you print the packing slip, you print your shipping label, and it's always good to buy your own stick labels that you can just print off of. That way you can stick it directly on the box and it looks nice. I always tend to default to priority mail because it's inexpensive, but it gets there very quickly. United States Postal Service. And the customer's happy with that. They don't mind. And it still looks nice because, they got it quickly. Or we can go by what's called fulfillment by Amazon. Fulfilling your inventory of fulfillment needs for your customers through Amazon itself. So what is FBA? Fulfillment by Amazon primarily is this, that all your inventory is all stored in one of Amazon's warehouses. They pick your product, they package your product in the box to ship, they ship your product to the customer, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to carry inventory. The orders are automatically taken care of for you. If anything, they'll just let you know that when your inventory is running low, and of course you can get it shipped to them from your sources, which we'll talk about in a second, from your wholesale sources. But FBA primarily handles all of it for you. If you wanted a great tutorial on the FBA process, that right there is the actual URL for the entire training that Amazon gives for it. And I'm going to try to see if I can get those Amazon videos packaged along with these videos so that you can go ahead and see those Fulfillment by Amazon process videos so you can learn exactly how the process works. How much does it cost? You're averaging anywhere from $10 to $15 extra to whatever you're doing. Granted, it depends on the price of the product. I'm talking about a higher price product because they have their packaging fees, labeling fees, etc. But you can expect anywhere from $5 to $15, I'd say, if you're using Fulfillment by Amazon. And again, you can make that lower depending. If you have a lower price product, you can probably get away with having a lower FBA cost. The training does give you specifically how to try to do that, and it'll give you some comparison charts. You can see what it would be, how much money you're saving if you were to do it yourself or if you would do it through Amazon. Again, I like Fulfillment by Amazon for a couple reasons. These are the benefits of Fulfillment by Amazon. Number one, they work really well with Prime eligible products. Like all of a sudden, your product becomes Prime eligible. If you don't know what Prime is, people spend $99 right now per year to work with Prime, and that allows all of their products to be shipped for free. So of course they're getting free shipping. If you do Fulfillment by Amazon, then your product becomes Prime eligible, and then all of a sudden their shipping is free, and it motivates them to buy more. So that is another reason to actually use Fulfillment by Amazon, even though at times it might be a little bit more expensive. Like I said before, it creates free shipping. And also, two-day delivery. I mean, people will get their product in 2 days. They might even spend a little if they want it in 1 day, because when you're under Prime, you get all these benefits. But being an FBA automatically puts you in the Prime sort of category. And then also, too, if you're competing against somebody else, get listed higher. If they don't have Prime and you do, if they don't have FBA and you do, they'll get listed higher in that category. Now, you don't necessarily have to worry about that because you're creating your own product and your own UPC code, because you're going to create your own sort of specific product that no one else has. But if a case ever happened that other people are selling your product too, then you'll always be first if you have FBA and they don't. What are the challenges of FBA? FBA is not perfect. The two biggest challenges, of course, is expense. It tends to be a little bit more expensive. Two, they do have more control of your inventory. So if you want to make changes as to the packaging and things, you're not going to be able to because it's all stored at one of their warehouses. Three, there is some tax sort of maneuvering you've got to do, because when we're talking about being able to store your products in different warehouses in different states, that automatically creates a situation where some of those states will want to bill you a sales tax for holding that inventory in their particular state being shipped out by Amazon. So there is some ways to be able to reduce that. That's sort of outside of the scope of this class, but there is some research that you can do online that will teach you a lot of different things about how to be able to contact Amazon to be able to have them maybe store all your products in one place so that you don't have that issue or problem. And the last challenge of FBA is sometimes they do lose your stuff. Just as an example, I tested FBA just to see what the process would like, and one of the first few products they lost. Of course, they reimburse you, which is great, but again, you don't want to lose your product. Not that they're going to do that. It's rare. It just happens that for me, it was the first test, and it happened that way that they actually lost the product. So that's just a good overview of Fulfillment by Amazon. Again, I'm going to try to add the videos for Fulfillment by Amazon that actually go through the entire training. They've made some incredible videos for it. If not, you could always use the URL that I put there to be able to just go onto the site and actually get the training that you need for FBA. Let's talk about effectively managing your inventory. Why? Again, because you don't want to, one, run out of inventory. Two, you don't want to have too much inventory because then, of course, you're losing your money. So the best way to actually do this by establishing what's called an inventory management calendar. And what I'm probably going to do is put an Excel spreadsheet of the calendar that I use, or I put together, to kind of like determine when I'm probably going to need inventory and how often am I going to order it. And again, the reason sometimes you want to order more only because you get bulk discounts, but if you don't get that much of a discount, then just-in-time ordering is probably your best bet. But again, you have to get a good, clear understanding of how much time it will take your supplier to ship it to you so that you can actually practice that more efficiently. So we're going to actually have a video also too about how you can kind of get a general idea of how to manage your inventory. I'm going to put that together for you. You're going to look through that, and it's just going to give you a good idea of how I manage it. Whether every month or every quarter of how much inventory I'm going to order, or how much it's going to cost. That's also a big part too. Do you have the capital at hand to be able to cover the inventory needs uh, at the different times? Would you have made enough profit to be able to cover your needs? Or the next part, which we're going to talk about when it's effectively managing your inventory, is how do you preserve your cash through credit lines and credit terms? Again, you don't have to use your own money. If you have access to any type of credit, you can literally use that to buy your inventory, and then of course pay it off over time as you make your income from selling your products in Amazon. I think it's crucial for you to have some type of terms, credit lines and credit terms, because again, it just gives you so much more flexibility versus using your own cash. So let's start talking about the first part, establishing an inventory management calendar. That, of course, talks about creating a schedule when you need your inventory, like I said before. Why? Because, we got to keep in mind a lot of things. One of them in particular is understanding the processing times from your wholesale source. Again, if you know that it's going to take them 2 weeks to get your product to you, then you've got to schedule that out to make sure that you get your product and give yourself extra time. Otherwise, you're going to be running ragged, having to contact customers, apologizing, and then maybe your customer rating will go down. You don't want that. And also, too, you want to make sure you know what their holiday schedule is to know when they're not available. They have Chinese New Year's, they have holidays, all the other holidays too, where they just shut down the entire, warehouses, but you can't get your product. So you need to keep those in mind. So it's good to have those on your calendar. Okay, so and keep all those together, and then you know exactly what to expect. Especially during times like major selling times like Christmas, Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter, etc. You have to be wary and know exactly what your inventory needs are going to be during those times. Order inventory amount based on your customers' purchasing patterns. After a while of selling, you kind of get an idea of how much sales you're going to be making on average. It could be maybe that's your category. It doesn't necessarily have that much sales, or it might be a subcategory. You might be selling 1, 2, 3 of your product a day, and you see that consistently you haven't done any more than that. So you got an idea how much you're going to need for the month. If you're going to need 90 to 100 pieces, because people like maybe three sales a day you're having, then that's what you order for the next month. If things pick up, we're going to talk about later about seasonal and holiday sort of inventory management in a second. But yeah, if things pick up, like I said, or right now, let's talk about it. If you just plan larger inventories for special promotions, seasons, and holidays, and that all is able to strategically planned out through an inventory management calendar. Again, at the end of this, we're going to have another video that's going to show exactly what an inventory management calendar looks like, the one that I use, and you can use that one or you can create your own. Now, we talked about preserving your cash through credit lines and credit terms. I always like to preserve cash, especially when I can have my suppliers provide me with credit lines. And that's what I always try to do. Every one of my suppliers, either one, my product supplier, accessory supplier, product packaging supplier, labeling supplier, if I'm using that person, Amazon itself, because sometimes I buy things from Amazon, trying to get them to provide me credit terms. Why? Because I'm looking for revolving credit. Why? Because I carry the balance and just pay the minimum or a little bit more than the minimum. I can get net 90, it gives me 90 days to pay, net 60, 60 days to pay, or net 30, 30 days to pay. The key is it gives you a lot more time to sell so that you can make the money to pay for all these expenses rather than paying them in cash up front. Granted, if you're that type of person, you feel like you just want to be able to bootstrap it, so any money you make, you put back into the company, that's great. Don't expect to see a profit for a while. If you're like me, you more want to utilize things like credit to give you a little bit more time to sell as much as you can and then go back and pay those credit lines down. Put that in your sort of profit and loss sort of statement, and you'll realize that even after the expense of the credit, because sometimes you have to pay a little interest on it, you still make a great profit from everything, and you have the flexibility to manage it all. I encourage you also to do something called building corporate credit. I mean, if you can build corporate credit, which means just like you have a personal credit, you can have credit for your company. Usually you need an 800 credit score. With businesses, is usually an 80 Paydex score with a company called Dun & Bradstreet. then it's a lot easier to get these these suppliers to be able to give you credit, because an 80 Paydex is sort of like an 800 credit score that makes people feel really good about extending credit to you. So building corporate credit is something that I would encourage you to do. You can always look online of ways to build corporate credit. Um, Look out for the future. I may do a video training series on how to build anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 in corporate credit. But it's very simple and easy to do to be able to get that 80 Paydex. As a matter of fact, a quick just tip for this is try to find a lot of suppliers, like net 30 suppliers that don't necessarily have to do with your product, who are willing to extend credit for you, a net 30 account, but that report to Dun & Bradstreet. If you get 5 of those and they're reporting that you've been paying on time, even for the first invoice that you get, you paid on time, then you get an immediate 80 Paydex right away. And then you can, from there, you can go on and use that 80 Paydex to try to talk to your suppliers into giving you any type of revolving net 90, net 60, or net 30 sort of credit lines. Another benefit of using credit is it gives you the ability to use either your business or personal credit cards that you're able to get through credit, but use those rewards and points to start getting cash rebates, so things are a little bit cheaper, getting points so you can have like travel miles, etc. Whatever those things give you, they usually give you a little bit of a benefit, so it takes the edge off the expenses that you have. And then, of course, utilize all affiliations to get discounts and special terms. If you're part of AAA, AARP, or any type of affiliations, maybe it's a bank that you bank at that might be able to extend a credit line to you because you're at that bank or have a certain amount of deposits with that bank. Whatever opportunities you have, utilize them to be able to preserve your cash. And generally that means trying to create some type of credit line or credit terms with your suppliers, so that you'll be able to continue to sell more than you have to spend and give you a little more flexibility. So the next exercise is going to be, number one, how to use the Amazon shipping service. So we're going to go through that process. There's going to be a video on that. We're going to also look through a video. Actually, I'm going to have the videos for FBA, the trainings and tutorials. So you can just go ahead and look through those. If for any reason those aren't there, I'm going to give you the link so you can go directly to Amazon and get that information. And then the videos show you how to sign up for FBA itself. It's a very easy process, and they make it very, very user-friendly. Simple for people to be able to do it because it's so user-friendly.